Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video on the hero Halbarad. He is very utilized right now if you have him unlocked. He's not a super early farm. You get him through the means of arena tokens, so a lot of people buy the bundle for him, or those who haven't have stated regret not doing so. So I want to go through his kit and let you decide if he's worth getting or not, but he is a very good character, so let's go ahead and jump into his kit. Starting out with Halbarad, I want to talk about how he's farmable. He is farmable by buying the arena currency in the shop. Again, I don't have him showing up in mine right now, but he's there with Bulg. So you have to decide if you want to get Halbarad or Bulg. I think that Halbarad is a good choice out of the two, more so because I don't feel like Bulg has a complete team just yet, although him by himself, he's very good as well. But you can buy either one of those or slowly get both of them over time, but you have to unlock Halbarad slow and steady through the arena store or by the means of a pack that pops after you beat Light Side 3-9 hard. It is part of the story. As you progress through the campaign, you'll finish his little area of the story and it'll pop a bundle for you. You can do so and buy him, which gets him unlocked at this level. I think it gets him at 3 stars, and I've just gotten some over time. Otherwise, again, if you're spending, I think it's probably worth doing. He is a good character. He's fitting into the early game very well because he has a taunt and a heal that is very, very good, but I'm not sure if he'll stick around in what meta we have. But we'll have to see what happens when we have more characters and things shuffling around. In terms of stats, he is first in health out of 27 characters, so he's very, very high max health. His damage is 7th out of 17. His armor is tied for 19th of 21, so his armor is actually one of the lowest in the game. His focus is 10 of 13. His resistance is 8 of 15, and his speed is 30th of 39. So again, nothing crazy here. Decent damage. He has the highest health pool in the game, so anytime someone's going to heal based on max health, that's gonna be good. Also, he'll take more damage if it's a burn damage going out on hit based on his max health, so it kind of goes both ways, but he does have a ton of health and he hits fairly hard. Now the game's going to suggest synergies with Strider, which we already talked about as a ranger. Strider fits into that, and Miri, who is another ranger in the game who will have synergies with him. They also have a double attack. So if you look at his Northern Storm here, you can see that it says if Miri is an ally, instead attack the enemy 2 times for 80% damage per hit. So kind of makes sense they'd work together because one of his abilities specifically mention her as being useful. And we'll talk about how the stealth abilities that she has and that his lead kind of works through means they work for him. But again, understanding about the Ranger team so far is they're kind of lacking a complete squad to make it work. And I've heard those that have invested in it pretty highly kind of regret it. So I wouldn't go crazy with a Halbarad lead team just yet. I think he's tanky and fits into the kind of meta where everyone's AoEing, and he just helps heal and keep things topped off. We'll first start out by looking at his leadership ability, which is Ranger squad members gain 5% focus. And then at the second level, which it kind of really gets going here, it says when a Ranger squad member receives Eagle Eye, which we'll talk about in a second, they have a 50% chance to grant advantage for 1 turn to that squad member. So once this is all the way maxed out, which is really when it's going to be effective, is that when a Ranger gets Eagle Eye, which has to do with them receiving stealth, they will get advantage, which means they get a guaranteed critical hit. So Eagle Eye, the actual effect means they cannot miss or be blocked. So if someone else is in stealth or they're blinded or whatever it is, Eagle Eye means they will always hit. Advantage means they will always make a critical attack. So those two paired together are very, very good. And we'll look at his passive in a second so you can see how you get stacks of Eagle Eye. Right now, his passive is Tall Tower, and it says when a Ranger ally gains stealth, they have a chance to grant Eagle Eye to that ally. And when maxed out, which again is probably going to be most effective, it's going to always grant Eagle Eye. So if anybody he's playing with that's a Ranger grants themselves or is given stealth, they're going to get Eagle Eye. And if the passive is maxed out and Ranger of the North is maxed out, they're going to get Eagle Eye and they're going to get advantage, which means they're always going to hit critical hits when they do that. So I think the potential is very high. I just don't think there's quite enough synergy or even enough Rangers to really make this work well. But I think it's a very interesting lead, and he's got a pretty big health pool. He's got a really good heal. He has a taunt, so I could see him coming into the play later once we get some other Ranger characters. Maybe someone like Faramir, who's a very popular Ranger. He could definitely work with this team a little bit better. Moving on from the leadership ability and the passive, we have his basic ability, which is Crushing Blow. It's going to attack the target for 80% damage, and there's a 50% chance to inflict Weak-Minded. Weak-Minded reduces their resistance, which allows enemies to have more Banes put on them. So I like Weak-Minded on basic personally. I've talked about it with my Eisinger team a lot. Although the teams he plays with probably won't benefit as much, but it's not a bad thing. And as this upgrades, it's going to increase damage, increase the Weak-Minded duration, and increase damage. So a pretty standard basic attack, nothing crazy. Again, his damage isn't breaking any records, so it's not going to hit too hard, but it's going to do enough. The big thing, and I mean the big thing for Halbarad's kit, is his first special, and this is the Rugged Medicine. This is going to grant 1 stack of defensive, heal himself and the 2 most wounded allies for 250% health and 3% of this character's max health. Now, his heal is going to scale up. It's going to give us just incremental, increases, 250 here, 1,000 down here. It's going to heal all allies at the max level, which is crazy. But the other thing is the percent based of his max health. That healing is also going to increase as you level him up. And like we said, he has the biggest max health pool in the game. So once this is maxed out and you're running a Gear 8 level 60 Halbarad, it is going to be a ridiculous heal. That's not only going to heal himself and a few others, it's going to heal the entire squad. And I have a hard time imagining this won't just completely fill everyone's health all the way. I would love, if you have a Halbarad that's pretty close to that level, let me know down below what he's healing for. But I think it's one of the biggest heals based on his health pool and the actual total, but also based on the fact that it at the max level heals everyone. Because there are a few that have heal all, but they're not as strong as, the huge percent increase and that 1,000 right here. So I think it's crazy. Obviously, it'll be a while before we see this because you need the max level here, but it is a very, very good heal. Next is his second special ability called Northern Storm. This is going to attack for 120% damage and gain taunt for 1 turn, so people have to target him, which again is a pretty good thing. He's a pretty good tank because he has the big heal. He has a lot of health. His armor's not too high, so I feel like sometimes he takes some big hits, but overall he's decent at tanking. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, if Miri's in the squad, this is going to be a team-up attack, so there's going to be a little bit more damage going out with this. And at the second level, he's going to grant Deadly to himself and Miri. So Deadly increases the chance of a critical attack, so it's going to set him and Miri up for some bigger hits a little bit later, which is pretty nice. But overall, if you're not using Miri with him, it's just a pretty standard attack and give himself taunt, which is nice because sometimes in other games, you just have an ability that lets you taunt. This one at least gets some damage out. But if you use in a ranger team, there's definitely a chance it could be decent. The max level here is also pretty interesting, which again, I think means he could be a lot more useful later in the game, especially with more rangers. But it says on a critical hit, grant Deadly to all ranger squad members. So again, Deadly critical chances increased by 25%. That could be pretty helpful with a full squad of rangers that are really working well together. But right now, there aren't as many unlocked and usable, and the synergies are a little bit fewer and far between. So I don't think it's time for ranger squad just yet. But I do think down the road, as we get more, maybe if Faramir has his own event or comes out, he'll get a few that work with him, and Halbarad will fit really nicely into that with a character like Strider. Very, very possibly. We'll have to stay tuned and find out. And then last, we already talked about it, but his passive ability is Tall Tower. Again, when a ranger ally gains stealth, they have a chance to grant Eagle Eye, and at the max level, it's always granted. I think it's a fantastic ability, but the fact is, most of the time right now, people are not running around with a team of rangers. At the most, I think there is actually 4 of them. So if you have 4 rangers, you're going to get some synergy, but it's not going to see its full potential until we have a really good full ranger team. So Halbarad, where he shines right now, is his bulkiness and his heal. The ability to taunt, which I would use situationally. I wouldn't always taunt with him because I want him alive to heal. But if someone else is in danger, you can throw the taunt up with him and he can protect them pretty well. That is going to do it for our deep dive on the hero Halbarad. Again, he's a lot of fun to use. He's got a crazy heal. He's got a lot of potential with his leadership ability. So it'll be interesting to see if that is utilized down the road. But for now, we have to wait and find out. But let me know down below if you like Halbarad. If you're not using him, do you wish you were? Or are you getting by without him? Is the bundle worth buying or not? That's what we're trying to figure out. So let me know your thoughts. And as always, I'll see you guys in a future video.